All right, there you go.
Okay. My name is Ken Olson. I'm an ambassador with Veridian, with New U Life, just like Brian. Actually, when the power gets turned back on, which is happening now, Brian, you and I will be Diamond ambassadors. And there's no reason everyone on this call, if you're a leader in Brian's business, that you can't get there as well. I had asked Chris Kavanaugh, the number one income earner, if he would be willing to hop on a call and discuss some strategies. Chris is playing this at levels that, in my 8 years experience, I didn't understand. I was looking at this as, a part-time opportunity that maybe would be complementary to my full-time real estate career. And I'm still a full-time real estate broker, but I'm looking at this opportunity as a real legacy opportunity, because we're dealing with something that most of us haven't seen before. A product with 40 benefits with complete exclusivity. So Chris possesses, Fortune 50 CEO executive skills, and you're going to hear that when I introduce you to him shortly. Chris and I have done real estate together for over a decade, on and off, and then I had the good fortune of meeting up with him on an epic project he's been involved with called Flag for Hope. Anyone, if you want to Google that project, he's the CEO and founder. He has 6 billionaires that are involved with this project. So when he called me and said, hey, I'm looking at something that you should take a look at, because he is such an influencer and he wouldn't just look at anything. I didn't take it as serious as I should have, and now I am, because I can see the direction that it's headed. So if you're looking to develop the skills and learn about the people that you want to be introducing this to, you're going to hear it from someone that I believe originally was the best network marketer on the East Coast, and I think I could pose an argument for the best network marketer in the country. He is exceptional at bringing out the best in somebody and identifying what you need to do in order to get to the next level. So, Brian, thanks for hosting this call, and I think anyone that's on this call, you're going to find value in the next 20 or so minutes, and you'll be very happy that you took the time to give a listen. So I'm going to hand the floor over to Chris Kavanaugh, he's more of a dear friend than anything. I've really come to respect him and admire him. And Chris, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ken. I appreciate that introduction. And Brian, thank you for putting this together. Here's what I am anticipating, that I'm talking to people that you see potential in your business. So the guy that's about to go into a casino and go play poker, just rule poker out tonight, buddy. Tonight, listen to what is possible. I love to play poker too, so I understand your passion there, but I really want to kind of give you a big picture of where we're at and then explain to you the necessary skill sets that you need to possess. And so we're 6 months into this evolution of building a brand that has some tremendous upside. Now, you can have some people who want to try and pick this apart and say, what about this? What about that? Anyone who has been around any real successes, and when I say real successes, we're talking about a real estate developer who, someone who had the epic projects and made tens of millions, or the stock investor that hit that growth stock and it turned out to be something that no one ever heard of, but it became a household name and they made a literal fortune. Is that possible in network marketing? Some of you might have been exposed to this industry over and over again, but chances are you've never seen a big run. If you've seen a big run, if you participated in a big run, you may or may not be here. See, 32 years ago, I'll be 53. 32 years ago, I was just getting out of college. I was working for Kidder Peabody. I had my degree in finance, going back from my master's in finance, and one of my family members told me I should pay attention to network marketing. Well, I thought network marketing was for people that didn't have real employment options. My family owned a chemical company. My father had a PhD in chemical engineering. He was the epitome of what I thought a business person was. I was working with Kidder Peabody because I wanted to be the Gordon Gekko of Wall Street. That's the direction that I wanted to go. Networking was something I would never entertain. My ego dictated my behavior, and it was something that I just simply didn't think I would participate in. And then that family member showed me a check for $483,000 in 1 month. And they said to me, Chris, you're so narrow-minded in your thinking. You're so limited in your belief. You think conventional business is required to own a company, to have employees, to have this kind of capitalization. Well, it's not. There's a new trend. Network marketing done at the right time, with the right company, with the right competitive advantages, is absolutely the proper blueprint for any of us to be wildly successful. Now, the problem with this industry is it's been a long time since there's been a company that has possessed the right characteristics, a one-of-a-kind product that appealed to a broad demographic, a compensation plan that would allow people to go from start to a level that they can be proud of in a short period of time. Network marketing is a money story. Don't let anyone kid you. You have to have a product that has uniqueness. You have to have a product that works. But the reason New You Life is so special right now is we proved in a 90-day window that there are people who have gotten involved, Brian and Kenny and all these other leaders that have gotten involved, and they got to incomes in a short period of time that it took other companies 2, 3, 4, 5 years to get to. And in some cases, companies would never get there. Why? Because their programs lack certain things. They lack the appropriate margins. Margins where you can, you have the right multiplier so that you can earn significant commissions and you can grow a substantial corporate base. Well, our margins are there. So you have appropriate margins, you have appropriate compensation plan, you have first-to-market category-changing type product. How do you do it? Now, I understand, I have to tell you, I have tremendous, tremendous respect and admiration for Brian. He's a natural-born leader. And the more I've gotten to know him, the more I like him. I love his videos. I love everything that he's all about. I want to teach you how to be the networker, not you just, Brian. Everyone, all of your leaders need to understand you get caught up in this social media craze. You get caught up in, oh my God, it's so easy for me to just convey some sort of message across the landscape of your circle of friends or whatever your network is. And you can entice people that you have something of value. And I'm not dismissing that. I am absolutely telling you that that's one avenue that you all want to get good at and master. But I am going to tell you I'm a master of building massive organizations. You probably don't know anyone in the history of this industry who's done what I've done. I've built 4 organizations, not 1, not 2, not 4 organizations from scratch and either become the number 1 income earner or one of the key top income earners in that company in record time. Because I have the ability to talk to anyone and convey a value proposition that is simple for them to digest. Now, I don't randomly go out there and recruit anybody. I want you to think in terms of you being the CEO, you're the business of your distribution channel. And as such, who would you hire if you had a conventional company? If you had my father's chemical company, would you just let anybody come in and work and be a key person to help build your business into something of substance because they can fog a mirror? I am not. Here are my numbers. I've personally sponsored 23 people in New You Life. 33,000+ people are in my organization. I control 90% of the company. Why did that happen? Because I don't focus on quantity. I focus on quality. I focus on influencers. And I can tell you all this. You could drop me anywhere in the country. I don't need to know one person. And in a short period of time, I will go build a 10,000+ downline. Because I'm smart enough to realize if I go to New Jersey, you drop me where you guys live. And I will find who the movers and the shakers are in your community. I'm looking for the people that other people respect. I'm looking for the people that if this person does something, then the masses will say, wow, it is an instant credibility scenario that goes on there. Now, if you don't have that kind of Rolodex, if you don't have that kind of credibility, it's okay. You need to learn the skill of driving through people's circles of influence. That's the key to network marketing. You don't wait for somebody else to bring the A player to you. You find out who they know that fits the characteristics that we're looking for. You need to keep your messaging tight. You need to keep it sharp, because I'm going to tell you the type people you're looking for to take this to the next level are not the people that are just sitting on the couch. They're not the people that have extra time. The people that we're looking for are in the midst of trying to do their thing in life. They have a lot of different options. I want you to think about successful people. And I'm not talking about people that are multi-millionaires and worth tens of millions of dollars. I'm talking about people who are successful, they're articulate, they're knowledgeable, they've got an intellect, and they can, when you present a true value proposition to them, they can understand it. They can understand what a first-to-market product is. They can understand what something that has the potential to go viral is. They can understand that if you can compress time and you can build something that it has an extraordinary upside, that the profit potential associated with that is something that they cannot dismiss. But if you show them a way that they can participate in a way that's not disruptive to their family life or not disruptive to their business life, you will get their attention. So how did I build 23 to 33,000? Now, I will have countless people who, this industry is littered with frauds. I'm just going to tell you that. Sales industry is littered with frauds. Someone can have a tape series. Someone can do whatever and say, look at my sales funnel or look at my strategy, and I've found those that can do, those that can't, try and teach. So 30 plus years to tell you this isn't theory. This isn't hyperbole. This is absolute, the key to being an adequate networker or being a substantial networker. I'll say this last thing, and the only reason I'm saying it is to establish credibility to all of you who don't know me. So there's a magazine called Upline Magazine. It was always known as the premier magazine in the network marketing industry. Upline Magazine voted Mark Yarnell, the author of Your First Year in Network Marketing, as the greatest networker of the last 100 years. Mark Yarnell, in his book and, on several calls, said if there was one person that he was going to build a network marketing organization with across the landscape of this country, it would be me, because I'm the one who understands the nuances of being able to get through other people's networks. The key to success is having the right network. If you don't have it, you need to get into an appropriate network. One person can change your business life. I'm not talking about networking, not talking about building our New You Life business, which I'll transition into it. But one person can lead you into a whole different direction. You've all heard the saying, I'll tell you who you are. Show me the 5 people you spend most of your time with. Those are the influencers. Those are the people who influence you on how you talk, what you read, how you behave, all sorts of things. You want to be successful? You want to be a multimillionaire or worth tens of millions of dollars? Then have mentors that can help you get to that particular place. In this industry, the Mark Yarnells of the world were my mentors who showed me clearly a simple path of being able to build a network. So let's kind of delve into things that I want to see you all possess. It's my humble opinion that I think this New You Life story that we have has the potential to be the most high-profile networking story that this industry has seen in my 3 decades. So there have been big hits with Nu Skin. There have been big hits with Mona V. There have been big hits with Organo Gold. Okay, but they all lacked certain things, and There were gotchas in the comp plan. There were shortcomings in other certain things. We have a compensation plan, and this is not a recruiting call. This is a training call that I'm talking to people in the business. So I can talk about income, and I don't need a disclaimer associated with it. You probably aren't aware that we go on this particular run that clearly appears, what will happen in our near future. That our compensation plan is geared towards some people earning $1 million a month. When I said my background was financial, I believe from an actuarial point of view, we get to the epic point of our growth. I think we'll have people earning $1.5 million a month. I don't know how many. I'll tell you, people like Brian and any of the key people that he thinks has the potential. You throw yourself over the bar. You demand more from yourself than I could ask, than anybody in this company could ask. You just need to get your skill set up to a point where you can communicate this in a seamless way. When I picked up the phone, and that's what you need to do. You need to pick up the phone. You think a text is good? No. When I call those billionaires from my other projects, if I texted them just arbitrarily for something of great significance, they would absolutely think that a couple things. They would think that it's not important enough for me to pick up the call and talk to them. And they'd also be desensitized because successful people are either bombarded with emails and texts or social media stuff. So I want you to get into a situation. I'll give you a couple examples. I'm going to talk about people that have a network, and you have maybe a chicken list, and we want to focus on that. And then I'm going to focus on you don't have a network. So we'll look at both scenarios. So if you have that network, and maybe you've got an uncle, or you have a brother-in-law, and your brother-in-law is successful. He's a lawyer. He makes $300,000 a year, $400,000 a year. He's doing great. That's wonderful. Guess what? He's not rich. He's not at the point where he can check out. Network marketing gives people right place, right time, the ability to check out. When I saw that $483,000 check for 1 month, my relative hadn't been building that business for almost 5 years. I said, for almost $500,000, back in the 80s? He said, Chris, you get paid for what you start. And you get paid for building a brand that ultimately has some longevity to it here. We're in a situation where we're going to build something that I think is going to have extraordinary growth in record time. I'm going to predict that we're going to be the fastest company to $1 billion in sales that this industry has ever seen. And I'm not talking about a service company that gets to $1 billion and operates on tiny margins. We're talking about a product company with substantial margins that gets to $1 billion. That means net profit to us is phenomenal. This is the real educated networkers who have been sitting on the sidelines for, I'm not talking about years, I'm talking about decades. They look at what we have. They look at how Alex has a pedigree of 27, 28 years. He's formulated 600 plus products, but he's got this savant ability to create some formulations that the world has never seen. This idea of a transdermal, getting this HGH molecule into the bloodstream. I know you have people that are telling you, oh, it can't happen, or it's not a significant enough amount. Guess what? They're inaccurate in their assessment. I was the one that came to those conclusions early on when I was being ignorant and didn't realize that he's done such subtle things that are really, really powerful. This product is perfect for our needs to get where we need to go. So, we have these unique scenarios to build something in a short period of time that we can all, one, be proud of, but most importantly, it can be historic. So in being historic, you have to focus on, once again, influencers, people that other people respect, and you have to be able to contact them and posture in a way that they will believe what you have to say. So if you don't know my story, I'll share it with you now. I got involved in the middle of December. I was in the midst of doing other things. It was the worst possible time for me to have anything else come my way. If you talk about Murphy's Law, that's what this was. I didn't want to do it. I had no intention of getting back into the industry. But after being on this gel for, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, I started seeing some changes and feeling certain things that I realized it was going to have a viral nature. So I simply locked myself into my office, and I locked myself into my business office, and I only called business people. Okay, I didn't call my sister-in-law who needs the money, or I called other business people who were in a similar situation. And my whole word track was simple. I'd call someone up and I'd say, "Hey, Brian, it's Chris. Listen, do you have a few minutes? I've come across something that has a viral nature that I've got to run by you. And it has a tremendous profit potential. We need to talk about this." And that one line that I would say, most people would say, "Chris, what do you have?" And at that point, I would just let the tools do the work for me. That's when I would send people to getonthegel.com. And I would clearly tell them, when I say that there's a profit potential associated with something, I would quantify it. If I'm talking to a lawyer who I know what he's making on an annual basis, if I tell him, get involved, play around, let's make a few dollars, he'd be like, "Chris, don't waste my time." So I knew that when this starts to grow, the profit potential is extraordinary. I would absolutely zone in on it. I called one guy, and he happens to be one of the leaders in this company, who told me I'd never get involved in network marketing. "Chris, that's beneath me." Or that's, I own all these medical practices. It's not for me. And I said, "Your ego is dictating your behavior. Let me quantify this for you. On the side of what I'm doing with my other businesses, I believe this has the potential for me to build a side business that will earn more than $1 million in 2018. Now, if you tell me $1 million on the side of what I'm doing or on the side of your business is not of interest to you, I'll hang up right now. But I know that it's of interest to me." And he said to me, "You really think you can make that kind of money?" I said, "I think the potential exists. I think the demand for this product is extraordinary. Here's what I need you to do." And I'd always direct someone to the simple process of going to getonthegel.com, watching the video, looking at the booklet. I'd set up a time to call them back. When I call them back, I answer their question. It's always a safety question. Then I invite them to join me. I'm collecting a decision. But the key to being a good networker is when that guy got in, and when that guy doesn't have time, I would be masterful, if you will, in getting to his network or the people that he knows. And I'd say, "Look, who are some of the other business people that you know? Assume that what I said is 100% accurate. That, we're talking serious 6 figures, potential 7 figures in record time. No big capital investment, no big, scenario where you have employees and this won't be disruptive. You're never going to hear me say, 'Hey, let's get together for coffee.' That's not going to happen. We're going to build this virtually. So I had these business people who said, 'I can do that.' If you can show someone a path, if you can show them a way that they can get from where they are to where you show them there's a potential to be, and the potential is making $1 million a year or making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on the side of what you're currently doing, it appeals to a lot of people. One of the reasons that I believe that we have a lot of growth that's come in here is because we have some really good leaders. We have people that have great influence with others. So on the subject of the guy that I was talking about, let's kind of evaluate a little bit more how it went, and I want you to, this is critical for you to understand. So I'm always under the impression that if someone gets involved in our business, they may not understand it. They might be very limited in their time. They might be limited in their thinking. But if they're going to sign up, there's a certain point in them signing up that they see, they're intrigued, they're willing to sign up. Well, assume that person is not going to engage. And the only way they're going to engage is if you take access or you have access to their warm market. So when someone signs up, I immediately start talking to them about who they think their, top 10 lieutenants, generals, whatever term you want to phrase, would be. and I start asking them, who are they? Why do you feel this? What are the characteristics that they have? Now, there's a couple things that you can do. You know, there's a business guy that I signed into the business who was influential in probably having 5,000 people come into this company. You don't know his name because he's not done anything. But those 5,000 people came in because I drove through a circle of influence, got to a brother-in-law of his who led me to someone else, who then led me to some person that you would know. You keep driving until you get to the Brian Mara. You keep driving until you get to the Ken Olson. And then you just spend all your time with Brian Mara, Ken Olson. So you're looking to get through other people's circles as quickly as possible. A good networker can drive the line and get from, they sign up one person on Monday, by Friday I'd like to see them down 5 levels. So you understand what I mean? You know, I sign up A on Monday, and Monday night we're talking about who they know, how they know them, how they're perceived. It's critical to have these discussions. If I understand that this is your brother-in-law, why do you think he'd be good at this? Well, he's been a talented this, he's been a talented that. He always excels in that. He's hungry, he's money motivated. You know, he's getting divorced and he's wondering how is he going to transition. Make your notes, get everything down. And would I leave it up to that person that I signed up to go contact his brother-in-law? Absolutely not. If I left my success up to someone else, I'd never be successful. So I get, the person's name, I get the details about them, and I get some traits that obviously fall into the criteria that I'm looking for, and I say, hey, John, or hey, Brian, is it okay if I call, your brother-in-law? Now, if Brian is working at a business, remember, my primary focus is business people. So they're out doing their thing. They don't have a lot of time. Sometimes I might say, Brian, let's do a 3-way phone call. Get your brother-in-law on the phone. If I think he's too busy, I just get the number. I'd call his brother-in-law directly myself. And assume his brother-in-law is Ken, I'd say, hi, Ken, my name's Chris Kavanaugh. I was given your telephone number by your brother-in-law, Brian. Brian told me some amazing things about you, that you possess this, you possess that, you possess this. I'll compliment him. I'll compliment him for the first 30 seconds. And after that, I'll say, this is why I'm calling, because you possess some of the characteristics that I'm looking for. I'm on the front end of something that is about to go viral, and the profit potential associated with it is extraordinary. Brian thought that this would be something you and I should discuss, and I'd quantify a dollar figure. Brian thought that, I can tell people now. If you don't know, my check before we closed down was $40,000 for the week. $150,000 a month in less than 90 days. So when I talk to a business person and say, hey, this is what I'm doing, $150,000 a month in less than 90 days, does that get your attention, yes or no? And virtually no one has said no to me. I use that same fear of loss mentality, and I continue to just drive the line. So from Brian's brother-in-law, and if he gets involved, I find out the people that he knows and drive the line and drive the line and drive the line. There are some nights that I'll drive the line 3, 4, 5 levels that night. And same thing. I'm just sending them all to, a website, get on the gel. They're taking a look at the information. I'm calling them back, and I'm filling in the blanks. I know if I talk too long, they can't do it. If I keep it streamlined and simple, then they can do it. The key to big, massive success is simple, duplicatable systems. Now, the reason I don't go out there and advertise, the reason I'm not looking for the masses is because I don't know what I'm going to get with the masses. When I built my first company that I had great success in and built 20,000 people in record time, I did it because I literally sought out certain people. I was in an area where I didn't have any influence. I was in an area where I didn't know anybody. So I literally just asked some of the people in that area, who is the most respected person around here? Who is the person, if they ran for mayor, they would easily get elected? And here's what I got. Someone told me, this guy, Roger, he owns this restaurant. Everyone loves him, and because he's got ABC. So what did I do? I went to Roger's restaurant. I sat down at the bar, and I started to, have a drink, or I ordered food. I literally went to Roger's restaurant 3 or 4 times. I started to connect with Roger. I built rapport with Roger. Roger asked me the first or second time that I was there, "Hey, Chris, what do you do?" And I said, Roger, I'm just in here to relax. I don't want to talk about any of the stuff that I do. You can appreciate that, right? I just want to chill out. He's like, "Oh, of course, I understand." Well, we got to a point where Roger and I developed a friendship. And one day Roger was just complaining about his employees and complaining about this and complaining about that. And he said, "Man, I wish this place would burn down so I never had to deal with any of these problems again." And I said, "Roger, I got to ask you something. Are you just spouting off, or do you really mean that?" And he said, "I'm spouting off, but I'll tell you what, the stress here is just killing me." I said, "Listen to me. I think I can help." And he said, "What?" I said, "I think I can help." So I was able to wait, strategize, pick my opportunity with an influencer, had him where he respected me, and when I said, "I think I can help," he's like, "What do you have?" I said, "Raj, I don't want to talk to you here at the restaurant. Too many distractions. Let's get together tomorrow privately." And in that particular scenario, I was able to take someone I just didn't know, I had no rapport with, built rapport, and here, fast forward. From that point, when I explained to Roger that he had access and I had a work ethic, there's a line I want you all to know. When you talk to anyone who is well-respected, they're well-respected because they've worked hard. But, some of them are working hard and not making the kind of money that they want. They don't want to jeopardize their reputations. They don't want to jeopardize their networks. But if you can present to them in a competent way that with their access in your work ethic, you can partner together and build something extraordinary. You can build something that can generate some serious money. That gets everyone's potential. Now, back then, I did things with live meetings. Back then, that's why what happened, I told Roger, let me start something here, and we started something with 2 people that grew into 200 people in a short period of time. Well, you can do that exact same thing from the convenience of your house. I've seen Brian's Zoom meetings. I've seen, some of the things that all of you guys do, and you're very talented in that scenario. But what I want you to know is every single time you do something, you're literally training someone else. You're literally, if you show me a Zoom meeting, and this is the way that you build it, now I'm not saying Zoom meetings are bad. They are good under the right circumstances. But assume that I'm the guy. I've got 80 employees. Workers' comp is killing me. Taxes are killing me. Everyone thinks I'm making a lot of money, but I'm making a lot less than I think. Or I'm making a lot less than the world perceives me to make. But I have access. I belong to, this club. My kids go to a private school. I've got a lot of expenses. But if you can show me a way that, I do things in the afternoon from my office, or I do things at night with one of you key leaders, and I simply, give you access to my Rolodex, or, someone who is going to be a little bit more participatory, who would say, all right, let me introduce you to a few of these people, and then you take it from what I just said. You compliment them, you get right into the word track, you put them into the system, and you just keep doing that over and over again. You're going to, you'll build in record time. So, Ken, I don't want to pound people over the head here, and I don't want to, do you want me to get into any more specifics? You want me to talk about any more details? Brian, Ken, would you like to jump in and ask me any specifics that I could address?
You covered it pretty good. I think it's important that a lot of people can over-talk, and keeping it wildly simple, because that's what's duplicable. And telling people, get on the gel, watch the 3-minute video, have someone read the explanation of the science and the benefits, and then 80% of your questions will be answered there, and then have that follow-up call. But keeping it that simple, and I was not doing it that simple in the beginning. So, Brian, if you have anything that you would like Chris to...
Ken, let me comment on that. This is what everyone wants to hear. Your prospect wants to hear, I don't want to waste your time, Mr. Prospect, and I don't want to waste mine. I'll be very respectful of your time. I'll call you back to see if you see what I see. Then we can fill in the blanks and talk about the necessary next steps. Business people, no one wants to miss out on the next big thing. And when you can convey this to people in a streamlined way, here's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see your invite be tight, and you can do it in 5 minutes or less. You send them to the website to utilize the tools that we talk about. That's a 3-minute video. It's a 5-minute booklet. You set up a time you're going to call them back. They're not ducking your calls because you've already addressed that you're going to call them back and be very respectful of their time. I anticipate our call will be 5 minutes to 10 minutes at the most. All I want to do is determine whether or not you see what I see, and then we can talk about the necessary next steps on how this can work for you. So you call them back. They've seen the video. They're intrigued. They all have a safety issue. They say, I've Googled HGH. I wonder, is this safe? You talk about the microdosing side of things. You address their safety issues. Now you invite them to join you. And you have to present a fear of loss scenario where you say, here's where I think this is going, Mr. Business Person. I think in the next 6 months we're going to have historic growth. I think we're a company that no one's ever heard of right now with 30-plus thousand distributors, and it's my humble opinion that in the next 24 months we're going to go to millions. I think we could go to 3, 5 million, some extraordinary number, because we just have all the pieces of the puzzle that fit appropriately for this to be, a historic story. I don't want you to miss out on it. I'd love to work with you, and I'm very cognizant of you have limited time. But I also know you're a guy or you're a woman who wants to make serious money. So we work together. We can create a scenario where that can happen for you. I also want to, if I'm calling people that I don't know and I'm driving through people's circles of influence, I want to prove to them and demonstrate to them that I can do what I say I can do. So in the course of that invite, in closing the loop where I'm trying to get them to participate, I say I'll keep this very relatable. I want you to follow my lead for the next 90 days. So let's focus on your influencers, your key people, the people that I can call. If you'd like to introduce me to them, I'd appreciate that. If you don't have the time to do that, let me call them on your behalf to build your team. I just need to know how they perceive you. I don't want to be calling people who don't like you. That's not going to work for either of us. So I want to call people that are well respected by others, but are perceived by you, they perceive you in a very favorable light. If they perceive you in a favorable light, like most of you on this call know Ken Olson. He's a great guy. And people who know Ken will always take a call if the call says, Kenny Olson told me to call you. Well, Ken's a great guy. I'll listen to what you have to say. You need to drive that line, and here's what happens. You can be, whatever's going on in your life, you can be struggling, you can be down, and maybe you've never made big money in life. I'm not talking about networking, in life. Well, just share some of the stories of people in this company that have earned extraordinary income in record time. You're calling them because you're partnered with some people that have been earning, $5,000 a week, $10,000 a week, $20,000 a week, in as much as $40,000 a week in record time. This is something you don't want to dismiss. And if you have to, if it's a situation where you have that person and they're like, oh, well, really, let me talk to that person. Well, then you have the resources. You get Brian on the phone. You get Ken on the phone. You get me on the phone. You get Joe on the phone. You get Frank on the phone. You get Johnny on the phone. Any one of us. And that call is just a validation call. Someone wants to know, okay, is there really someone making this? Yeah. How'd you do it? Did this, that, and the other thing. Now, get involved in Brian's group, or get involved in Paul's group, or get involved in Joe's group. So utilize upline credibility and have a sense of urgency to put the right people in your teams as quickly as possible. So, Brian, go ahead. You have anything anything to talk about?
Yeah. First of all, this is fantastic, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. It's unbelievable. And two things come to mind right away. First of all, I'm a little shocked because I've been, frankly, as you know, I've had great success in record time, and I've been doing everything wrong. I mean, I've never heard that concept of driving the line. I mean, it was never taught to me. I mean, I know I'm new to this industry, I've just been focusing on bringing in as many people as I can and hoping that they would duplicate. And I realize that I've done them a disservice and also myself a disservice, because this to me, this call is an epiphany. So that's part one. Part two, I invited 50 people. Now, I brought in almost 90 people, okay? I invited 50 people. There's 30 of them listening to this call. Some of them are traveling on planes. Some of them have to work, and I get it. But I'm hoping most of them will hear the replay. But the 30 people on this call and everyone hearing the replay, how can I best serve them? How can I best help them based upon what you're saying? In other words, they've been around with me from the beginning, or some of them just joined last week. Is it a matter of me, they come up with that list of influencers, and do I call them, or is it best if they call them? Like, what's a little strategy that I can work with the 50 people that I've gathered here?
Brian, you have great communication skills, okay? If you could call anyone in this country and they would take your call, because you know how to present yourself in a way that people will listen to. So if you have someone on your team and they've got, their list of different people, I want you in the next 30 days to start mastering driving the line. So you're literally going to go to some of your personally sponsored people and you're going to say, okay, we were in kindergarten in how we were building this. Now we're going to take this to the next level. Now we're going to go build like real pros build in this industry. We're going to drive the line. We're going to get the right influencers in here, and those influencers are going to give us access to people that will take our organization from 5,000 or 10,000 to 200,000. Okay? You're not looking to play around with some people who, don't get it, never made money. It's just about, now people who are hungry, that's a whole different story. If people ask me, who am I looking for? Who are the key people for me to sponsor in life? I'm looking for people that, once again, well respected, other people respect. I'm looking for people who are up and down in life. You get someone who was successful and lost that because of a divorce, lost that because of a health issue, lost that because of some tragedy. There but for the grace of God go all of us in certain circumstances. And you find someone who is been beat up, and they're at this point where they're like, just give me a real opportunity. Give me something that's fair. I don't have capital, so I can't go start my own business or do this or that, but I will be a sponge, and I will learn how to get good at presenting this particular business. So you find all the people that meet these certain characteristics. You go back to your personally sponsored people, and you say, here's what we're going to do. You're all going to stay home. We're going to all work on our list tonight, and we're going to create our A, B, and C players. Your A players are, the ones that I want to get you competent at being able to present a good value proposition to. I want you to be able to, say to that, we're not in tax time now, so let's say to that accountant. There's an accountant who has a big practice, and the guy makes $250,000 a year. He's been doing it like clockwork. And when you call him up, you present a value proposition, and you say, listen, with all due respect, I'm calling you for one reason. You have access to a group of people. I have a work ethic, and I know you're successful and you make a lot of money. What if what you make in a year you could make in a week, or you could make in a month? I know that would intrigue you. Let me tell you why that could happen, because we're on the front end of a trend that has such extraordinary explosive upside growth that the profit potential associated with it is appealing to some of the most successful business people around the country. They just can't dismiss it. And you bring in a few people with networks, and it's all over. So I would like to see you originally make the calls. So if you brought me in, if I was in your business, you signed me up in February, and I've been, floundering. We've had our issues. I'm looking at the glass being half empty instead of half full. Anyone who, let me just tell you, the manufacturing scenario that we had, where we produced X, and now we produce Y, and everything that's happened to us it blows me away how we're able to be at this point in August, and, we had 120,000 bottles come in July. We'll have the same thing in August. We'll have 240,000 in September, and mark my words, in the very near future, we will be able to produce more bottles than we'll ever be able to sell. It's unprecedented for a company to be at this stage of our growth where we could produce, and here's my prediction, that we can produce 300,000+ bottles, and if we sold 300,000 bottles in a month, that puts us as a $500 million company. That is a unbelievable story. That's something that people don't want to miss out on. So you get good on driving the line, getting to people, and putting them through this system approach, collecting decisions, letting them know that you're the guy, and when I say you, I'm talking to all your leaders right now. You know, that they're the person that these business people, and, you know, you do the same thing with networkers. You know, networkers who have been in, hey, I've been in XYZ and I'm making $10,000 a month. And you say, wow, I mean, the guys that I work with, one guy's making $40,000 a week. Now, I'm only saying that to you because it shows you how unique our opportunity is. It's unprecedented. You know, networkers who, you heard me say in one of my calls the other day, I'd rather be the hunter than the prey. And that's it. We literally are going to be the 800-pound gorilla. It's just a matter of time. You know, the product is so unique. The compensation plan is so special. Once we get these 59ers all, you know, the product is done and we're out, you know, functioning in a normal way, when you start looking at incomes here, it's everyone's going to be like a magnet to get involved in this business. But, you know, there's a couple different philosophies. I'm not saying don't sign up everyone who wants to get involved. You do, but your time is limited. And Brian, what I don't want to see is I don't want to see you or your leaders sit back and wait for Mary or John or whoever who gets involved that you don't know if it's appropriate for them to call their brother-in-law. Their brother-in-law might think, oh, I know every time Mary screwed up in life. You know, Mary has zero credibility with me. Why would I let Mary call her brother-in-law until I've talked to her and understood what that relationship is? Once I understand what that relationship is, oh, you're telling me your brother-in-law is a pharmaceutical rep. Okay, and how much does he make, do you think? I don't know. He makes a lot. He's got a house down on the shore. He's got another house in the city. He's got kids in privates, whatever. He's demonstrated that he's successful. Okay, how is he perceived by his friends? Oh, are you kidding? He's got more friends than when there's a barbecue at his house, everyone comes because he's the center of attention. Okay, is he complained? Give me more information about him. Oh, he's flipping out about what the college tuition bill might be for his daughter who is getting to a certain point. So you know he's money motivated. Once you understand some of these traits, now you say, Mary, does your brother-in-law love you, like you? And she might say, oh yeah, he loves me. He just doesn't respect me because he's the big income earner in the family. I've been struggling. So, well, all I want to know then is, can you introduce me to your brother-in-law, or could you give me, his telephone number? We all need to be very calculated. Great sports teams aren't great sports teams because things are by chance. Everything's planned out. Same exact thing in business. Everything's planned out. The reason I built 5,000 with a guy who owned a restaurant that I never knew is I planned that before I even walked into that restaurant. I knew that he was an influencer, and once I was able to have a good rapport relationship with him, I would create a scenario when his defenses are down that he would listen to me. And the same exact thing happens once you understand relationships with each person in your group. So once you define that relationship with Mary and her brother-in-law and you know how it is, you got a couple approaches. I never like to leave a new person to invite someone to take a look at this. I think it's a recipe for a disaster. So to answer your question, I always want to get access to the numbers, call people. I've not found, I think in my years of doing this, and I've made, these calls to hundreds of people, I've probably only had 2 people that really didn't want to hear what I had to say because I start my calls off always complimenting someone. So if you try and go into the recruiting cycle way too quick, people's defenses will be sky high and they'll be like, hey, listen, I don't have the time. But when I call Mary's brother-in-law and I say, hi, Ken, my name's Chris Cavadon. Mary gave me your telephone number. And I asked, do you have a few minutes? She told me some amazing things about you. I'd like to she said, you're this, you're this, you're this. And I throw out, 3 complimentary things, that you're the smartest guy in the room, that you're this and you're that. There's a unique proposition that I'd like to talk to you about. Do you have a few minutes? I've virtually not had anybody say, oh no. When people are complimented, they go, oh yeah, that is me. They feel good. And then they say, well, great. What do you have? And then you just go into your exact same recruiting style over and over and over again. Viral story, profit potential, and go from there. Does that make sense, Brian? Brian?
Yeah, I was muted. I was muted. Yeah, man, absolutely. So, all right, so look at it like this. There's 30 people live on this call now. I mean, if each one of them came back to me and said, hey, I got a list of 10, the next 300 phone calls I should make should be to drive these lines as compared to focusing on bringing in new blood. I mean, that's fair to say?
Fair to say. What I would tell you to do is I would tell you to 30 people are a lot of people. And I would say of those 30 people, you know who's committed. You know who's demonstrated, hey, I'll do whatever it takes. Pick a half dozen of those and say, okay, you half dozen, in the next week, I'm driving the line, we're going to build your group, and the other 24, they need to start utilizing certain skill sets that demonstrate to you that your time is of value spending it with them. And, when I first got into this industry, I knew I wanted to be successful. I didn't know how was I going to do it. Yes, I had a family member that made all sorts of money, but he wouldn't teach me anything. So I found the number one income earner in a company, and I virtually kidnapped him. This is what I did. He had a limo coming to a place. I canceled the limo. I showed up there, and I said, "Oh, I'm your ride." And he said, "Oh, okay." Got in my car, and for hours I started to talk to him, and I understood how he mastered the skill of driving through people's circles of influence, and that he would always have an unlimited, number of people that he could talk to. The key to networking is to spend your time with the right people. We all want to spend our time with everyone. And Brian, you're a hell of a guy. You're a great guy. But I want you to teach your team, how you can master this. So when you master this skill, when you're able to work through, the nuances of driving through people's circles, and then you'll be able to do your videos and just show everyone, how they can do it. So for now, just focus on a few. And then, next week you can focus on a few more. But so what do? You drive the line until you come down to that natural born leader. We're looking for a natural born leader who is willing to do whatever it takes. We're looking for a natural born leader who, you know who they are. They raise their hand. They text you. They email you. They say, I'm hungry as all heck. I'll do anything. I can pretty much figure out that this is, the best opportunity I've ever seen in my life, and I'm not going to squander it. I'm not going to let it, go by the wayside. So you spend your time with those type people, and here's the last thing I want to teach you. So when you drive the line and you sponsored A. So assume you're going to pick who A is. It's one of these 30 people. So you sponsored A, and you're going to drive through his circle, and we're going to sponsor B. And B is going to come in the next 2 days. We're going to drive through B's circle of influence. We're going to get down to C. And then we're going to drive through C's circle of influence. We're going to get down to D. We're going to drive through D's circle of influence. We're going to get down to E. And all of a sudden, E happens to be the next superstar. They're going to be the number one income earner in this company in 12 months. They're going to blow this thing up. And what does that do? By you driving the line, it causes upline motivation. So now D and now C, and now B, and now A. They have this massive organization growing underneath them. Now the pressure is on them to develop the skill set to be able to communicate to people effectively with this value proposition so that they can build their inside legs. So driving the line creates upline motivation in a way like you never can before. The worst feeling that we all have, the worst human emotion is regret. Regret of having a massive team growing underneath you. So all of a sudden you start to find out that whole leg gets invigorated. That whole leg is like, hey, what are you doing? How are you doing it? We're all in, and you're masterful with your videos. You put a video together that highlights this is how I did it and blah blah blah, and all of a sudden you'll have all 4 people in that leg from number E all the way on up to A who are going to be competent at driving the line and keeping it simple. Okay? You're going to teach them, don't overtalk. If you overtalk, it's not duplicatable. If you're talking people into this, it's not duplicatable. So you want everything in your recruiting cycle has to be a simple message. The reason that some of the biggest networkers that this industry has ever seen, they're looking at us right now, they're trembling or they're looking to get in, and they're saying, my God, you have this ABC system that we see takes away through, the skill set that is required to be successful here. We've brought it down significantly. So we have, we know what we have. So I won't, hop on all that. So
we have to sign off.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Guys, I've got to do an 8:00 call. Thank you for taking time, and I'd love to help and work with any of you. I want to see you guys make a fortune. That's what it comes down to. I want people on this call to I don't know if you've ever seen a 6-figure check in a week. But that's what exists here. There's going to be 7-figure checks in a week. So you just say that amount of money is worth me mastering certain skills. And the skills we're talking about tonight is driving the line. So get good at that. And I'm available to do 3-way phone calls for any of you. And Ken and all the other leaders will be your resource. The key thing is keep them tight, keep them short. Okay?
Thanks, Chris.
All right, everyone.
Thanks, Ken.
Thank you for your time.
Bye
now.
Thanks,
Have a good night, guys.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, guys.